day shorter than SHOT Show.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and you add the range day, the media day. That's for us too when we're out there, and that makes it. And that's actually my favorite day of the SHOT Show.
At SHOT Show,
Yeah,
range day.
you're getting people out there to shoot the guns, and that's
Yeah.
the coolest thing. You're just not playing with them; you're actually shooting them.
What's cool about this show is that it's open to consumers. So I really enjoy seeing all the families and the kids, and they're into it.
They are, and the cool thing is that, everybody that's I say this, everybody that comes to the NRA show wants to be here.
Yeah,
Whereas
absolutely.
so many people are working the SHOT Show, and it gets to be kind of a long, drawn out week. Whereas
Yeah, it's a
here,
work thing.
everybody here, you get a different crowd sometimes every day.
Yeah, and I mean, people treat this as a family vacation or something.
Exactly.
So it looks like we're live, so let's go ahead and do it. Gun Talk Live, welcome in, Facebook, YouTube, all those places. We are live from the NRA annual meetings in Indianapolis, Indiana, and today we're at the Springfield Armory booth here with Steve Horseman, and thought we'd just kind of give you guys a little taste of what's going to happen today and a little background on Springfield Armory if you don't know, because you probably know them for their guns. You probably know the XDM, the M1A, and other stuff, but you guys keep coming up with new stuff, Steve.
All the time, and it's this constant evolution of things. The company started in 1974, which a lot of people already know. Started off with the M1A, and what it was is we were getting just military GI surplus parts and building M1As. I mean, I could spend a long time going into the history of the company, but that's all online.
Yeah.
And then it kind of evolved after a few years with the M1A of making, hey, wait a minute, what other military type of gun, surplus gun, can we make? And of course that evolved into the 1911.
It's kind of cool because if you say, okay, well, let's look at the M1A, the 1911, they are those military surplus guns. And then you think about the name, Springfield Armory.
Right.
What do they say? The first name in firearms.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to the Springfield Armory in Massachusetts, which was making guns since
George Washington.
George Washington.
Yeah, started it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple hundred years.
Yeah, and you guys have expanded that. We thought we'd bring out some of the oldies but goodies to talk about. These are still for sale in the line. This is the original GI mil-spec.
Mil-spec, yep.
Mil-spec 1911. It's kind of one of those, this is the foundation. This is the platform you can start from.
Right.
And make it whatever the heck you want it to be.
Exactly. We did a forum board yesterday, or a little topic. We talked about 1911s. And one of the things is there's certain guns to me that just look cool,
Right.
and it's like that, like the M1A with the 20-round magazine. It's an iconic looking, readily identifiable. AK-47 looks same thing with this. And this is of all the 1911s, and I have a bunch of them, and this is my favorite looking, is the traditional mil-spec with the, I'm not a big fan of the rounded mainspring housing, but I think it looks the way the gun is supposed to look.
That's it. That's it. It's more original to the gun, and it's just kind of it's just like looking at an old Corvette or an old Mustang.
Yeah.
It's like that's what it's supposed to be.
Exactly. That's what it's supposed to look like. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the original mil-spec type of grip safety because it eats into my hand, but it looks the coolest.
It looks the part. Yeah. But then, of course, you go, ooh, but I could add sights, I could change this, I could change that, and, help me win matches or whatever, just make it more fun to shoot. When you guys brought out the XD, brought that and popularized the XD, people were just kind of like, man, this is a nice gun, and it doesn't, it's a good value. What is it about the XD that people like?
One of the things is that it matches the grip angle of the 1911, almost exactly. And one of the things too is that the gun is really reliable. That was the thing, is that just like with any new product that comes out, there's some growing pains, right?
Right.
So, and just like that, we had some growing pains with this gun, but the thing was that reliability was never one of them. Durability was never one of them.
Those are a couple of the most important things.
Right. And the trigger pull was, at that time, there wasn't a whole lot of striker-fired guns on the market.
Right.
And it was, I want to say, early 2000s, I believe. But this gun came out, and the trigger immediately, and I had no affiliation with Springfield Armory at that time, and I started buying them. I liked the trigger so much. I go, this trigger's so much better. Of course, and it evolved to where, now we can do trigger jobs on these guns. But this is the original configuration that we came out with. This is the 4-inch service size XD 9mm. That was the first one.
I did a class, gosh, I would say about a decade ago with Clint Smith, and he had a 5-inch XD, which was his carry gun. and it had all some flames painted on it.
I think it was a 45 too. I
was
think
a
he's
45.
a big fan of the 45 XD. Yeah.
But that I think when someone like that, he could be pretty critical of stuff and pretty picky about it because he's seen a lot of stuff and he's carrying it and going, wow. And I remember Rob Latham told me a while back how good the trigger is on that 5-inch gun.
It is. We've done the line of XD to XDM has evolved, just like with everything that we've done.
Right.
And the texturing patterns, but this one still exists. What it was we personally at Springfield in the custom shop do 2 trigger jobs. One's called a combat action job, where it's kind of designed more for the police that want a better trigger on their pistol, and then there's a competition trigger job.
Yeah.
And we got 2 guys in there that do them. It takes them no time because they've done it so much.
What does it feel like? What does the combat trigger feel like?
The combat trigger feels more like what we've done is we've taken out some of the over travel and pre-travel. We still maintain about a 4.5 to 5 pound.
Okay.
Trigger.
It's not a light trigger necessarily.
No. And then the competition trigger job, they can get them down to about 2.25, 2.5 pounds. So they get those things down there really, really low, and they break crisp. They almost feel like a 1911 style trigger.
Yeah. Well, and for competition, that's appropriate for that use. But you were telling me that you guys have something kind of new with the XD line.
Yeah, what we've done is, there's certain laws that certain states can't have certain things, right? So what we've done is we've always carried the original line, and we sell a lot of them in states, California.
Right.
California has certain guns, you can't get them in there now because of certain laws.
It's a challenge to introduce new guns into California.
Right. So what we've done is this gun always exists. So what we've done now is we've said, hey, what can we do on a budget for people, an inexpensive deal? So what we've done is we've taken out some of the fluff out of the packaging. Yeah. And we've called it our Defender series. This XD is in that Defender series. Okay. So what we've done is you get 1 magazine. Okay. Okay. So we've offer it in the full size gun and the subcompact. Subcompact comes with a flush fitting 13-round mag. Okay. And for the states that can, it comes with a 10-round mag. Right. And this one comes with a 16-round magazine. It's just 1 magazine. I believe it comes with lock, comes in a cardboard box. So you don't get a
simplified.
Simplified. Yeah. So you can go out there, and I think MSRP on them is like $339. That's MSRP. So,
wow.
You figure the street price is going to be a little bit less than that.
Yeah. So, gosh, you're going to be close to $300. Get an XD, a mag, and you don't need all the fluff. Right. Save a few bucks, and you're good to go. Yeah. I like that idea because there are a lot of people who say, I want to get a gun, and it may be their first gun, and they go, yeah, I'm kind of figuring this thing out. I'm not sure I want to commit to spending $1,000 on a gun to shoot or a gun to just keep at my house for home protection. Right. This is a good place to start, like you said, reliable. Pretty easy to shoot. I think really for me, full size 9mm striker fire guns, people will go, oh, new shooter, or my wife, give her a revolver. Actually, I find that if you ask most women, you let them try a bunch of different guns, a full size 9mm striker fire gun is probably what they're going to pick.
Exactly. It's funny you mentioned that because last Easter weekend, my niece and nephew came up, right? And she's a little tiny, little tiny gal. She's like 25, little tiny. And she wants a gun. And I said, okay, let's go. I got a bunch of guns. I take her out.
Try a bunch of different stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and she actually picked an XD, but a Mod 2. She picked a Mod 2. She just, honestly, because I don't have one of these. I don't have an original XD in 9mm. So I gave her the Mod 2, and she's like, I like that. I mean, she shot a 1911 full-size steel gun. She shot my EMP. She shot XDS. She shot a bunch of things. Right. Little revolvers. She's like, I like that the best. Yeah. And, she could cycle it. She might weigh 95 pounds, and she could cycle it. She couldn't work her husband's XDM. She goes, I can't cycle it; it's too heavy. But she had no problem with that.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Here she was. She picked that of all the things that I took her out to shoot, and I probably had 20 guns out there for her to try.
Running the slide. Let's talk about that because that's a concern for people new to guns. Sometimes a smaller gun is harder to run the slide.
It is.
Right.
It is.
Why is that?
Well, most of the time is because you're having to counterbalance the effects of recoil. So the smaller the gun, the lighter weight the slide. Typically, you have to spring the slide heavier, the recoil spring, and that's what you're trying to overcome.
Spring.
Yeah, you're trying to overcome that spring when you're cycling the action. So you typically with bigger guns, and even like in the 1911, you pick up a 1911 and 9mm, that recoil springs seems pretty soft, right? Because it doesn't have to, it's got the weight of the slide that the cartridge has to overcome, so you don't need a heavy spring. So it's the exact opposite of the smaller guns.
Yeah, and that's one of those kind of like inside baseball things. People go, oh, my wife, smaller person, smaller gun.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
No. And what we do is we have one of our newer guns that we've come out with. It's called an XDE.
Right.
And that gun is about 27% easier to rack the slide. And I also tell people this. I said, especially with the hammer-fired gun, if you cock the hammer as you're going to cycle it, you're taking away the mainspring housing, or that spring pressure that's on the hammer.
Lets off a little bit more.
That you don't have to overcome, so it makes it even lighter to cycle it. Yeah. So, but it's like in the striker-fired guns, you can't really do that. But one of the things, it's just a technique, really, for even small people. Like my niece, I had her, pushing with her strong hand and pulling back with the other hand.
Yeah.
Not just pulling back. Yeah.
Yeah. Use both of those forces, and it makes it a lot easier.
Yep.
And that's the thing. Yeah. There are certain guns that are easier to run the slide than others. But a lot of times it is that technique and just a little teaching.
It is.
Yeah. It makes it easier for them.
Yep. And
so, you guys comment on the Springfield Armory page or Gun Talk pages. We'll be monitoring comments and questions, and we'll be here at the Springfield Armory booth throughout the day. We'll have some more guests and appearances and talking about other guns, some other new stuff coming up. So stay tuned from right here, Gun Talk Live from the Springfield Armory booth all day long.